bring on Minucci's former coach back at Kansas State, and of course went on to have success at Marshall and the Georgia head coach. He's in the National Football Foundation Hall of Fame. Coach Jim Donnan joins us now here on Fox Sports 910 Phoenix. How we doing, Coach?
How you doing, Coach?
Doing good. Glad to be with you guys. Looking forward to talking about what's going to happen tomorrow over here in Atlanta.
You don't want to talk about what's going to happen in Detroit with my alma mater, Ohio U, taking on the Miami Redhawks? I mean, come on, Coach. The big game there.
Yeah, I like the Bobcats. I mean, I've always that's a good. I'm surprised you could graduate from there. That's pretty hard school.
No, it's not. It's the opposite, Coach. I think it was the opposite. That's why I got out. All right, let's talk Texas, Georgia, Coach. When you coach for all those years, I mean, how difficult is it to play the same team twice in the same season? Did you have many times you ever had to do that?
I did a couple times in 1AA, but never in in the situation in 1A. But it's always hard. But at the same time, people say it's hard to beat somebody twice, but you do have it in the back of your mind that you won and all the things that you did good and some of the things that you might could help you in the next game. But I do feel like there's some things in our favor, just the fact that they're playing in Atlanta. And even though it's supposed to be a neutral site, it's a tremendous home field advantage for Georgia.
And then we heard today that Texas ended up returning tickets because the Texas Longhorn fans didn't want to make the track out there, or maybe they're waiting for the next round in the playoff.
Well, I think putting all that money in NIL and buying that tackle they got today. I think that's what we lost. They got one of our best players in Georgia today, and certainly they deserve him. But anything it's NIL, you'd be rich, boy. They'd be stacked up like cordwood trying to get you in the poor old Minucci. I mean, if a quarterback can play dead in a Western movie, he's gonna get 100,000. So,
Coach, you look at this Georgia team, and they're 10-2. They've had a really solid year. But why has it seemed that's been difficult to get those 10 wins versus the last couple of years? Seem like they've cruised into the playoffs or the finals.
Well, I think a couple of things. Just the talent level, we don't have near the D line that we've had as far as dominant guys. You see Carter and Walker; these guys that were drafted in the first round, doing a great job in the pros, and also the injury factor. And of course, every coach can talk about that, but we've had just a rash of injuries that hurt our depth, and then just the transfer portal in itself. You just don't have the depth that you had before the portal. We don't have the second team guys that can step up there like we did before. But I do feel like there's a couple big factors for us in our favor, in that three of our starters that didn't play against UT, our right guard and left tackle, will be playing on offense, which should help our protection and run game. And then our best linebacker, who's going to be a high draft choice, Smile Munden, didn't play either. So those three guys could probably help us a lot tomorrow, but I'm sure Texas has got some of the same things going for them. And I do think they've improved their offense in the fact they're running the ball a lot better. I'm talking about Texas, and not just relying on Ewers to throw the ball. And certainly they've got an outstanding defense. But if you look at the teams that they've played, they really haven't been challenged offensively against some really good quarterbacks. So I think their schedule certainly has enhanced them. But they're definitely a worthy opponent and a team that is very dangerous, and we're going to have to play error-free to beat them.
Coach, and talking about quarterback, watching Carson Beck this year, I just haven't seen the consistency. Last year he was money. 28 touchdown passes to 12 picks, and there's been a couple like when I throw that pick and I put the headset on, I can always hear your voice like, son, where are you throwing that ball? I can hear that once in a while, but explain his inconsistency, but he always seems to rebound and pull it out at the end.
Yeah, you lost some really good receivers. You see Bowers up there playing for the doing a great job for the Raiders, and McConkey for the Chargers. So two really good, consistent guys that you could go to in the clutch. And just the fact we've had such a revolving door at running back. All of our running backs have had something wrong with them all year, and we've never had a consistent rusher that give us that 100-yard guy to take the pressure. So we're throwing in some of these games a lot of what we call show passes, where you're just dropping back and the defense can really pin their ears back. But now that we got a running game going, you look at what he did against Tennessee here, just really hit our tight ends and had a phenomenal game. And the same thing, although UMass is not a real challenge, but again, against Tech last week, he threw 5 touchdown passes. So the last 3 games, he's had I think 14 touchdown passes or 12 touchdown passes, no interceptions. So, but I said before, we got some candy from Texas the first game. They had 4 turnovers, and we took advantage of it. And we had 3 ourselves. But as everybody knows, the big games, turnovers, kicking game means a lot.
Coach, explain or define in your own words that 8 overtime victory over Georgia Tech. I mean, you're watching this thing unfold. What's your thought process as to watching that game unfold and where Georgia wins that game?
Well, there were just a lot of highs and lows, because you think you got it and then you think you don't. You think you're out of it, then you're back in. And this new way of going for 2, they need to send that back over to some other country, because I just think it's a very hard way to decide the game and not fair. But certainly I like the fact that you have to go for 2 after the first score and the second overtime. But really just some really consistent play by us and inconsistent by Tech at the end of the game. And then during the overtime, both teams struggled to make the plays that were there. And fortunately, we made the last one. And it really hurts Tech because they want to beat us so badly. You know, I mean, it's a big in-state rivalry, and Kirby's had to kind of top notch on them the last few years. But give them credit. They did a good job, and we were very fortunate to win.
He's Jim Donnan, former Georgia coach here with Rocco Minucci, Jimmy B. Coach, Alabama, they're going to sit back and watch and hope. Do they deserve to be in the playoff with 3 losses in the SEC?
Yeah, I just think it's a very tough issue now, this committee, the way they look at – but I do think, and certainly you guys have a very good approach out there, and you study college football probably better than any show around. But I just think you look at who Alabama's had to play and their strength of schedule, and they've got 3 wins against some really good teams. Some of these teams have no top 25 wins. And you take the schedule and say Indiana, and that guy's done a tremendous job there, unbelievable. But you take some of these teams and play that schedule, I think it'd be very hard. Same thing with Miami. No really big wins. They're big wins over Louisville. And they've lost to Georgia Tech and to Syracuse. So I think in the end, it's going to all boil down to, can Clemson beat SMU? And then if they do, will SMU drop out? I don't know if you can keep SMU in there with 2 losses, particularly the fact they lost to BYU and the schedule they've played. The ACC this year is not anything near what you see in the SEC. So it's hard to compare the conferences and all that. But I wouldn't want to play Alabama in the playoffs. I promise you that.
Well, and to that point, Coach, as far as their regular season, they always say, hey, you might have won the battle, but who's going to win that war? And you look at the top 10. Do you feel when you look at the top 10 as far as the current rankings are, maybe outside of that top 5, that there is that team that could win in the top 10? Or do you feel it's going to be within the top 5?
Well, I think certainly the favorite right now, and they deserve it, being undefeated. A team that really worries me that didn't play very well last week is Ohio State, just because of the breadth of talent that they have. And they're outside, and I think certainly Alabama could come in there and jump in there and do it. And of course, we're ranked 7th, and we're playing Texas. To me, Texas might be up there, but their schedule helps them. But I think that really, in my mind, the teams that have the best shot are Oregon, Ohio State, Georgia, and Alabama, maybe Tennessee, if they can get their offense going.
And, Coach, I got to say, hey, thank you so much for taking it easy on those picks I threw back in the day. I mean, I threw a few of them here and there, but I appreciate you not hammering me on some of those throws. I loved your connotation.
I can just tell you this, and I think any quarterback coach, and you do a good job training those guys out there. I mean, not many guys can say they trained Brock Purdy, but is he going to give you a cut of that new contract? I want to know that. But I think it's really imperative that you talk to a quarterback during a game more about, why did you do that and all that. If you're going to get ready to chew him, do it, in private and not in front of everybody else, because there's nothing he can do about it. He's trying hard as he can do. And if you're a good quarterback, you're going to throw picks. I mean, you got to throw in tight windows and you got to take some chances and you're not just throwing the ball out in a Walmart parking lot. You're going against some good players.
Well, I appreciate it, Coach. Always great to catch up with you.
Thank you, Coach.
Hopefully, if we don't catch up with you prior to Christmas and once the playoffs start, Merry Christmas to you, but we'll catch up with you soon.
Yeah, give me that national championship game when the Dogs are in it, I hope. But good luck to the Bobcats and go Dogs.
Thank you. They appreciate that, Coach. That's Jim Donnan joining us here on Rocket Minutes with Jimmy B. By the way, we talked about Texas and giving some of the tickets back and things of that sort. They started a program that I think is pretty cool, and it's called the Official Longhorn Fan Box. And what it is 1,500 boxes that have pictures of current student athletes that are signed by those student athletes. And what they do is basically you pay either $149 for it, okay, or $299. They throw in a signed picture with Vince Young, okay? So there's only 1,500 of them. And then what they do, so if they can sell 1,500, if you sell them at $149, comes out to like $270,000. But if they upgrade it with the autograph picture of Vince, it's $300. So it gets you about $450. What a great way to take care of your students or your student athletes. All that money goes right into what they call the players' profit. The collective.
Very good.
Sun Devils could probably do something like that. Maybe they are going to. And what they do is it's one of those deals. You get your first box in March, and then it renews every football season. It's one of those things where once they get you at $150, you'll do it all the time. Probably
sure you
if
will.
you're as you grow and you support your program and you see the success they're going to do. So I'm sure a lot of schools are doing things very similar to that, and hopefully ASU's in the works of doing that because they need to try to figure out ways to generate revenue. Very interesting. Paul Moyer was on our program, former Sun Devil many years ago, and he brought up a good point today. He said, and he's at the game, he said, like Seattle and Washington, they're alum. They're deep pockets, but there aren't a lot of them. Arizona, it's very wide. It's not deep, but it's the length is there. So because the numbers are so big. So if they can tap into those, 50,000 a year alum or whatever the number
they're
is,
going to have to, Rock,
and even get $100 from each or $50 or whatever the number is, it can make a world of difference on the success of the athletics at Arizona State. And U of A can do it down there as well.
They'll keep that program up to where they up to speed each and every year.
How about that? So appreciate Coach Donnan joining us. Good stuff there. Brought to you by Twin Peaks with 5 Valley locations. Great place to watch all the games. Of course, we kick off our football weekend Thursdays thanks to Coors Light and Blue Moon. You can text Peaks to 59925 for our fantastic tailgating sweepstakes. The big prize, which is the grill, the griddle, the oven, all that good stuff, which you can see up on our website at Rock and Minooch. Again, that's Peaks to 59925. Standard message and data rates apply. Jack's Rewind is next, and then we will catch up with Tim Hovick, who's going to join us live from Dallas. It's Rock and Minooch, Jimmy B, Fox Sports 910.
Ready for Christmas music? 99.9 KEZ is